Welcome into DRF, Daily DRF Sportsbooks Betting Live Stream, coming at you every day, just about every day. When there's football on, we're on. We're coming off of a tough 1-2 day, but man, were we all over the Seahawks. My bias worked yesterday. Seahawks money line cashed in as they took down the Cardinals 19-9. We were on the Chiefs plus 2.5, and man, we were sweating that one to the last minute. And we were on the Cowboys plus 6.5 last night, and they lost by 9. A tough one. They looked like it was dead in the water after that first quarter. Cowboys got into a huge hole, and then they battled their way back down by 3 late. And then Jalen Hurts and company did what they've been doing all season, and that's winning games. So can't be too mad. A nice 1-2 Sunday. I had a fantastic day watching all of that Sunday action. And now to finish this week off, we have a AFC West showdown today in the Broncos heading to LA to take on the Chargers. And it's quite an interesting game as the Broncos sit at 2-3 on the season. They are underwhelming. They've underperformed. Their offense is lackadaisical. It's just not good overall, where the Chargers 3-2 have shown some flashes. They're 4-1 against the spread, with their only loss being that 28-point blowout loss to the Jaguars, where they were 6.5-point favorites. So quite an interesting little dynamic between the two sides. But before we get into all of that, we have to do some housekeeping stuff. As always, what we normally do, just remember to subscribe to drf.com/sports for all the latest betting angles, trends, and insights, line movements, key injury reports, everything like that is at drf.com/sports. And all of the rest of the ALDS, so only one more game between the Yankees and Guardians, all of that data is free. And all of the championship series, the ALCS and the NLCS, all of that data will be free on drf.com/sports. So all you have to do is head on over to the website, sign up for free, and you'll get all of the exclusive betting angles, data, trends, everything for free for the championship series in the NLCS and the ALCS. So you do not want to miss that. And of course, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere on social media, follow us. And we'll be giving out some exclusive betting angles and trends free on our social medias as well. And if you live in Iowa, bet with DRF Sportsbook. We're at DRF Sportsbook, and we're Iowa's only local sportsbook. We're live only in Iowa, and we are giving out the best promos, specials, everything like that. We're taking what you guys are doing. We look at the data. We look at what the sports bettors are doing in Iowa, and that's how we figure out what to give you, what profit boosts, what parlay boosts, what specials, what promos. I mean, we've been focusing on, will Iowa score a touchdown in this game? And we're boosting that every game. Normally, no is the answer, as the Iowa Hawkeyes have struggled this season. But that's for the college football DRF Daily. So if you're in Iowa, check us out at DRF Sportsbook, ia.drf.com, and on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. So with all of that, and we also want to boost your bankroll. And as always, you ready to take it away, DRF Cash Grab? They're going to tell you how to download the app and start winning today.
Introducing the DRF Cash Grab app, the super easy, free-to-play sports predictor game from a name you know and trust, the Daily Racing Form. Use your sports knowledge to predict the winners, and you could score thousands of dollars in cash prizes. Pro football, college football, pro basketball, college basketball, hockey, soccer, boxing, baseball, and more. Compete against others for a spot on the monthly leaderboard. Download the DRF Cash Grab app and play today.
Now that we got all of that out of the way, it's time for our picks for tonight. We got our game pick. We got 3 player props we're targeting as well. We're starting things off Broncos Chargers. It's going to be a great game in my opinion. Line's 4.5. Open at Chargers minus 6.5. The public's all over the Chargers. Over 71% of the public on the Chargers to cover tonight. But if it came down that much, what does that mean? It means the sharp money. All the money is leaning towards the Broncos. They thought the spread was too high. They thought the Broncos would cover that with ease. So all of the money, all the sharps went on the Broncos. That brought the line down to Chargers minus 4.5. And it's kind of evened out there. But that just means that line was just a little bit too big to start. And so the odds makers in Vegas had to fix that. And the line went from minus 6.5 to minus 4.5 to try and get more people on the Chargers. And, 71% of the public's on them, but the money, I think, is still coming in on the Broncos. So that's something to keep an eye on. This Chargers defense isn't good. This Chargers defense allows 27 points per game. They allow 6.6 yards per pass and 6.3 yards per play. not a recipe for success. Granted, they are 3-2, but they do have a negative 2.8 point differential on the season, which is actually worse than the 2-3 Broncos point differential on the season. Broncos have a -1 point differential this year. And that's a little worrisome if you're a Chargers fan, because this is a Broncos team that, in all theories, in all hypotheticals, they're going to break through eventually. You can't have these red zone woes for an entire 16, 17 game season. They're currently scoring at the worst clip in the red zone in the NFL. They have the least amount of points scored per game in the NFL, and they're 17th in the NFL in yards per game. All of that you would think has to change, right? But it seems like things are a little shaky in the building in Denver with what Russell Wilson's been saying in the media, KJ Hamler's reaction to the blown game-winning, potential tying touchdown on the one. I know Russell Wilson knows that all too well, not winning a game on the 1 yard line because he passed it. But this is going to be a really great game. I mean, it's Justin Herbert against Russell Wilson. And I think right now in the NFL, if you had to tell me who you're picking for the future, I'm going Justin Herbert. And I think the Chargers are the better team overall. They have an offense that, can actually score the ball. So if this game becomes a shootout, I like the Chargers in that. But I think it's going to be a much closer game than what the public is thinking. The public, like I said, 71% on the Chargers. So that just leaves 30%. Well, now it's shifted a little bit, 70% of the public on the Chargers. So just 30% on the Broncos. I think this is going to be a much closer game than the public thinks. I'm on the Broncos plus 4.5. I don't think they win, but I think they keep this one close enough to cover the spread at 4.5. Look, we've talked about it. Broncos, though, 1-4 against the spread this season, and the Chargers are 4-1 against the spread. The Chargers are the better team. Not really a true home field advantage, though, at SoFi Stadium. But Denver should be able to keep it close and should be able to make this one a really good Monday night matchup, even though they're one of the worst, if not the worst, scoring offense in the entire NFL. Will be an interesting game to watch for sure. Our power line makes this more like -5, so the number's pretty much right on the money at -4.5. Estimate number 1 likes the Chargers to win this one 24-20, where estimate number 2 likes it more of as a tie. So with all of that being said, all of those thoughts, I think Denver -4.5 just might be, plus 4.5, just might be the play here tonight. So that's it for the breakdown of the game. And now we got a few player props. We got 3 player props coming at you. We're going Russell Wilson pass yards, Russell Wilson rush yards, and Mike Williams receptions. We'll start at the top with the 2 Russell Wilson props that we're on. His over-under is set at 233.5 pass yards. We broke it down a little bit in the game preview, but this Broncos defense allows 6.6 yards per play. They allow over 230 yards per game. They allow 238 pass yards per game. And Russell Wilson, while he hasn't been able to find the end zone and get a lot of touchdowns, which has hurt my fantasy team as I had Russell Wilson as my starter for weeks 1 through 5. He's now dropped from my team, and I'm running with Geno Smith. Might be a little bit of my bias showing there again. But Russell Wilson has had some big-time yardage games. I mean, he passed for over 300 yards against the Seahawks in week 1, and he's passed for over 233.5 pass yards in 3 of the 5 weeks so far this season. He's averaging just about 231 on the year. So I'm going to go over his prop number here at 233.5. I don't know if it's necessarily a lot over. This might be a sweat down to the very end, but this Broncos rush attack isn't good. It's 113 yards per game, just 4.3 yards per carry. They only carry it 26 times, and if Russell Wilson's going to be on a main stage, I think he's going to want to throw the ball a lot, and it's been noted and it's been covered extensively that he does have a major say in this offense. So I expect Russell Wilson to drop back a good amount, he's been on the record this week leading into this game that he expects more greatness out of himself. So I expect him to try and force that greatness out tonight. So I'm over 233.5 pass yards. He's gone over that 3 of 5 times. And this Chargers defense, I don't think will be able to stop them as they allow over 238 pass yards per game and 6.6 yards per completion. I'm also on the over Russell Wilson rush yards prop. It just seems absurdly low. He averages 14 yards per game 14.6 yards per game. So on average, he's going over that rush yards prop regardless. Over the last 3 weeks, he's had 17 rush yards or more. Over the last 2, he's had 22 yards or more. He had 22 he had 22 total yards in week 4. He had 29 in week 5. And here in week 6, I think he's going to go over that again. He averages about 3.5 attempts per game. So if he gets that to about 4 attempts, I think he easily gets this. Now, sacks, kneel downs, all that can potentially cause a little bit of an issue. But, I mean, at 12.5, it just seems low. Early on in the season, he wasn't running it a lot, and he's not running it at the same clip as he was early in his career or even just in his last few years in Seattle. But I do think he's starting to understand that in order for this team to have success, it's not just going to be reliant on the right arm. It's going to be reliant on his 2 legs. So I think he'll run it a few more times. And if these trends are anything, he's rushing more and he's getting more yards. So give me the over on Russell Wilson rush yards. He might have to do that a few times if the Broncos want to win this game or if the Broncos want to cover the spread, which is more of a thing I'm worried about. Probably not much what Russell Wilson is worried about. And last but certainly not least, I love this prop. Mike Williams over under 5.5 receptions. If there's one that you want to hammer, it's this one. Mike Williams averages 8.8 targets a game. So let's say he averages 9 targets per game. He had 7 receptions in week 4, 10 receptions last week. And with no Keenan Allen, again, he's doubtful to go as he was limited in practice, their last practice of the week. I think Mike Williams is going to get a lot of action because Denver defense is pretty good. That's why I'm not going yards. There was a lot of receiving yard props here for the night, but Denver's defense allows just 177 pass yards per game. I mean, this defensive unit is a big reason they're 2-3 and not 1-4 or 0-5. This defensive unit for Denver is really, really good, allowing just 5 yards per play. That's why Mike Williams will get his opportunities. They will target him tonight because they're going to need a big game out of Mike Williams to have a good game. And Mike Williams is going to get targeted. He averages 9 a game. And so the key is he's had a little bit of a dropsy problem. He's dropped a few balls in his career. So will he catch enough to get 6 receptions tonight? I think so. I'm not so sure about his receiving yards total, but I think the Chargers are going to get him the ball, at least try and get him the ball. So Mike Williams will have his opportunities. He averages enough targets to hit this. He's hit this the last 2 weeks, and I feel really, really comfortable about Mike Williams over 5.5 receptions. So before we get up on out of here, let's recap these best bets. Broncos plus 4.5 against the Chargers. I think the Chargers win, but I think this is a little bit closer. I'm going to side with the money. I'm going to side with the sharps. I'm going to fade the public here. Give me Broncos plus 4.5. Russell Wilson has gone over 233.5 pass yards 3 of 5 games this season, and this is a Chargers offense that allows 238 pass yards per game. Give me the over on his pass yards. Mike Williams, we just talked about it. He averages 9 targets per game. He's coming off of a 10 reception game in week 5. He's coming off of a 7 reception game in week 4. I think the over is going to cash for Mike Williams receptions. And Russell Wilson over 12.5 rush yards. He averages 14.6 per game. He's gone over 17 rush yards the last 3 games. He's gone over 22 the last 2 games. I think over 12.5 rush yards is a fantastic bet for Russell Wilson. I feel more confident in his rush yards prop than I do in his pass yards prop. So that's a quick little DRF Daily today. We'll be back on Thursday, breaking down Thursday night football, giving you the best bets and the player props. Until then, be profitable and check back at drf.com/sports for all of your ALCS and NLCS data needs. It's all for free. It's going to be a fantastic championship series. Let's buckle up.